Hey boys, it's HarmNone. Today, we're going to be going over how you can make millions of dollars this week in Grand Theft Auto Online. Do this series every single week, so if you find it useful or helpful, consider subscribing. And before we get into the video, consider dropping a like if you guys enjoy. Now in GTA Online this week, we have some pretty good bonuses going on, including a lot of free stuff, which is always nice, of course. So before we get into anything else, I'm going to do a brief overview of what that free stuff is and why it matters this week, before we get into anything else and how it's going to tie into some of the weekly bonuses that we have going on this week. Now, available by logging in for the next 3 weeks, we have $1 million that's going to be deposited into your account within 72 hours of your first login. So if you don't get it right away, like some of you guys, don't panic. It's going to be all right. You will get it within 3 days. So just keep that, in the back of your mind. You're not going to receive it instantly. Some of you will, some of you won't, but you're going to get it within 3 days. And if you're away this week, which I know some of you guys are, like you've told me in the comments, you can claim this next week and you can claim it the following week as well. So this is available until April 1st. So don't panic if you can't get it this week. You have 2 more weeks that you can try to do it. However, this week we do have 2 free items that are exclusively available until next Thursday. And those are a free vehicle cargo warehouse, the LSIA location, which is worth $2,200,000. And there's also a free ramp buggy, which is worth $2.4 to $3.1 million. And that vehicle has to be stored inside of a vehicle cargo warehouse. So luckily there's a free one available this week. So claim the LSIA one if you don't have one yet, and then get the ramp buggy off of Warstock. Now, inevitably, some of you guys are going to be asking, where do I get the vehicle cargo warehouse? And the answer to that is through any master control terminal or through your CEO office computer. Now, no matter what, accessing this will require you to own a CEO office in the first place, and then you're going to have to go into the vehicle cargo section in the computer under CEO work, and you're going to have to go to the warehouse map and find the LSIA location and buy it for free. Now, another thing, if you already have a vehicle cargo warehouse, you can trade it in for the free one at LSIA, but it's going to have to be empty. So you're going to have to sell every car you have in the thing, which for most of you is probably not going to be worth it. But I've had people in the comments tell me they got up to 750K back from their one that they had to purchase themselves when they traded it in for the free LSIA location. So I'm just saying, you could potentially get some money by doing that, but you're gonna have to fully reset your vehicle cargo, which, as you'll learn in a few minutes when we get into it, might not be the best move. So hear me out. Now, if you don't own a CEO office, you will need one, but luckily they're 50% off this week, but not including upgrades and modifications. So if you want to get a super cheap one, the one I would recommend is Maze Bank West. It's $500,000 this week. But like I said, no upgrades are discounted this week at all. So before you upgrade anything inside it, I would honestly wait for it to go on sale. But keep in mind, almost everything about the CEO office is kind of useless in terms of customization. The wall safe is purely cosmetic, it does literally nothing, and everything else really doesn't matter except for the accommodation. And the one thing the accommodation does is allow you to spawn at your CEO office, which, depending on what you like to do, that might be worth it. But for most people, for like $760,000, it's really not going to be worth it to spawn in there. So I would just recommend getting the CEO office itself and nothing more. All right, so those are the free things this week. And we also have a couple more bonuses that we just got to go over super quick. Now, there's $500,000 available this week in GTA Online by participating in 5 community series jobs, which are on triple money and RP this week. We're going to talk about that in a second, but this bonus is also available separately each week for the next 2 weeks following this week. And you're going to be able to get $500,000 per week, so $1.5 million in total for completing 5 community jobs this week, next week, and the following week after that. Honestly, pretty worth it in my opinion, because those are also on triple money, and those community jobs are going to pay between $30,000 to $50,000 per job. That's how much I was able to get, and keep in mind that was only playing with 4 people. 4 people. These lobbies go up to 30 sometimes. So you can potentially make a lot of money if you can fill up those lobbies. And each of those jobs that I was paid for also took less than 8 minutes to complete. And 8 minutes is like the halfway mark as to how much money you can make. If you get like 15 minutes, you can make way more money. So just keep in mind the amount of people and the time spent in the job up to 15 minutes will also scale the payouts as well. So potentially a really good way to make money. And this also ties into the weekly challenge this week, which is going to be to win 3 races. And for doing that, you're going to receive a bonus $100,000. And if you win each of those races with a lot of people in the races, you're probably going to get like 100K a race anyway. So really, there's some good ways to make money this week in online, guys, if you're willing to just play some jobs. And a lot of the jobs are honestly really fun. I had a great time tonight playing with my friends, so I would highly recommend doing some community jobs and getting yourselves some of these bonuses. So anyways, all right, so finally we're done with the bonus talk. Now we're going to talk about vehicle cargo, which is on double money this week. Now, this is a decent bonus. It's not the best, but if you're claiming the vehicle cargo warehouse this week and you've never done it before, basically how this works is you're going to be sourcing vehicles, taking them to your warehouse, and then the most efficient way to make money is going to be to source as many cars as you possibly can and never ever sell the low end or the medium end cars, and then source all the high end cars and only sell the high end cars, because how vehicle cargo works is you're only able to source one type of each car, and there's 32 vehicles in total. 12 of those vehicles are high end vehicles, the other 20 are going to be low or medium tier. So once you've sourced those 20 vehicles, basically you can only source high end vehicles, and those vehicles are worth $80,000 a piece. That's how much you're going to actually be making per car that you sell, but there's some more bonuses on top of that. So we'll talk about that in a second. Now, if you're going to be sourcing cars this week, I highly recommend using the DH7 Iron Mule if you've got it. It will always pick up the car that you're trying to source as long as the vehicle you are sourcing is empty. So if there's somebody driving it, you've got to take them out. They can't be alive driving the car. Let's say that. They can be, you know, in the driver's seat, just not alive. Didn't hear that from me. And sorry, YouTube, if that makes you tweak out. So hook your cars, take them back to your warehouse if you have an Iron Mule. Now, I wouldn't say to go out and buy an Iron Mule specifically for this, but if you got one, make sure to use it. Now, when you go to sell these vehicles, like I said, they're going to sell for $100,000, but there's going to be a $20,000 payment that's going to be taken off of that 100K before you even sell. And that's supposedly going to be to modify the vehicle, which you really don't have to do. But no matter what, that $20,000 is gone. Even if you only spend like 5K of the money, for example, it's gone. However, this week it's not double money. So you're actually going to get $180,000 per car that you sell, and that's also not counting the high demand bonus. If you sell in a crew session or a public session that has 20 players or more, you can get 50% more money, so about $270,000 per high-end vehicle that you sell. And again, you should only ever sell the high-end vehicles. Now, this money really isn't awesome by any means, and especially considering the time that you have to put into the business to be able to actually consistently earn this much in the first place, it's going to be a bit rough. However, if you have some friends to help you, and you can sell 4 high-end cars at a time, you can make about $1 million per sale, and then you're just gonna have to go back and source those high-end vehicles again. So if you got some friends to play with, sell in those public sessions or the crew lobbies. I have a crew in my Discord server if you want to join. There's a link to that in the description down below. But you can earn up to about $1 million if you can consistently sell in those high demand bonus lobbies and you have some friends to help you out with. Now, not going to be the most reliable way to make money. Things are going to happen. People are going to grief you. Stuff's going to go on. So I would highly recommend getting in a crew where you can sell these cars in a lobby, because that is going to help you out a lot. And selling with multiple people is going to make you more money per hour than selling by yourself. For example, because there's a hard cap on vehicle cargo sale missions. If you sell one by yourself, there's a 15-minute cooldown instantly after that. So you can only sell about 3 cars per hour at most by yourself, so not exactly the best way to make money. Now, moving on to another bonus we have this week, and I think this is one that people are honestly underrating a lot, judging by the reaction to the bonus in my comments. We have Ron contact missions, and these are on 4 times money and RP. And if you want to level up, this is hands down the best way to do it this week. It's actually an insane amount of RP, but the money's pretty good too. Now again, like I mentioned earlier, the more players you play with and the longer these missions take, the more money, the more RP you are going to get. For example, I had 3 of my friends help me do Base Invaders, which is one of the best OG missions, and it took us about 5 minutes, and we were paid $51,000 for completing the mission, and we got 10,000 RP each. So pretty good money, all things considered there. Now, I also went and ran some Ron missions by myself at varying lengths of time per mission. For doing one mission that was just over 2 minutes, I got paid $20,000. For doing a mission that was just under 6 minutes, I was paid $43,000. And for doing one that was just over 10 minutes, I got paid $62,000. So doing these missions this week by yourself, you can earn up to about $600,000 an hour, which honestly isn't terrible considering how easy these missions are. Now, I personally think the best way to make money with this, as far as money per hour, is going to be to take between 2 and 5 minutes per mission. Doing it in around this time frame will net you the most possible, and it's going to get you as close as you can possibly get to $600,000 an hour. But if you play with multiple people, you can get to that $600,000 an hour mark a lot sooner. So I would highly recommend doing that. Now, of course, this week, for those of you that have it available, you should be doing your HSW time trial. It's one of my favorites this week. We got North Chumash to Palomino Highlands. So it's going to start just at the canyon. And if you place a GPS, it's probably going to suggest going through the canyon, which is not the route that you should take. You should actually go up and onto the highway and down to Fort Zancudo. Now, if you have a hangar at Fort Zancudo, go through the base as fast as possible. If you don't have a hangar, you're going to want to go through the tunnel and across the bridge that goes over the marsh and take your immediate left. You're going to speed down that road all the way to the Los Santos Customs that's in Harmony. And after the Los Santos Customs, in between that and the prison, you're going to want to turn right. And you're going to want to jump as far as you can off of this ramp that you guys can see me taking right here, and get as close to the train tracks and the wind farm as you can possibly get. Then you're going to head south towards Los Santos and down that part of the highway. And then you're going to take the exit that is closest to the final location. If you just set a waypoint, it'll automatically adjust once you hit these sort of areas that I'm telling you to go to, and you'll make it in no time at all. And just like that, you got $253,000. This is one of my favorite ones. I really love this time trial. It's just so easy if you think a little bit outside of the box and use this route that I'm telling you guys about. It's going to make you a lot of money. It's going to be easy, so take advantage of it. So overall, I think this week for most players is actually going to be pretty awesome. I mean, $1 million for free and $5 million worth of free stuff is not bad. And the additional bonuses and stuff like that for doing the community jobs are pretty great as well. Now, dare I say it, but I almost feel like we might be getting a CEO cargo bonus soon. Don't quote me on it. I just have a hunch, literally nothing more. So make sure you guys are filling up your CEO cargo warehouses. If it doesn't happen within the next 2 weeks, we're cooked. Just forget about it. You should just sell them, but source your cargo warehouses. I don't know why, guys. I have no reason to think this, but I just can see it maybe happening. So I really hope you enjoyed today's video. And if you did, consider dropping a like and subscribing to my channel if you guys are new. I do this style of video every single Friday once the update weeks go live. And if you find it informative, consider sticking around. I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, take care. Peace.